Hello and welcome to another edition of Long Beach Treasures. I'm your host, Harvey Keller. Today we're up on La Linda Drive, which is a privately gated community with 33 homes, and joining me is Dwayne Rose, whose house we're going to go visit. So let's walk on down La Linda Drive means the Purdy, is that correct? Okay, Dwayne, at one time this was a 10-acre estate that was owned by George Bixby, who was the eldest son of Jotham and Margaret Hathaway Bixby, and he built this home in what year?
Started in 1887 was the first portion of the home, and we understand then it was redesigned a little bit and upgraded in 1890.
Now this all used to be bean fields and...
This is a 10-acre parcel, really was his private residence away from the rancho. The rancho's just down a 15-minute walk or about a 5-minute drive.
This is a charming little house before we go by it.
There's 33 homes on the drive now, and the original house is the one we're coming up on, and it's so large that you need to stroll around it to really see the architect of it and the grounds that surround it.
God, what a beautiful home. Do you ever get lost in it?
No. We'll go up to the front driveway, the front entry, and then I'd like to take you around the gardens so you can view different views of the outside. So when you're inside, you'll have an idea of what it looked like from the outside. The top 3 windows.
Now this is a shingle-styled manor with American colonial revival features.
Correct.
The shingle sidings are typical, as is the gambreled roof, the combination of the hipped, eyebrow, and gabled dormers. These are all hallmarks of this style of architecture. And you said the architect was?
We have him as, I want to pronounce his name correctly. Cockhead designed the home.
And he was of English origin.
Right, Ernest Cockhead.
Okay. Let's go up and...
Inside you'll see the first floor will be the main rooms. The second level is usually the bedrooms. And there is an attic on the top 3 small windows is the attic.
Now I understand this herringbone wood brickwork leading up to the front door has been here since the house was built in the 1890s.
Correct.
So this is over 100 years old?
Original brickwork right here at the entry. A lot of the same design is tied into some of the patios around, and a lot of the old brickwork makes some of the paths through the garden area.
What a beautiful yard.
Thank you.
Great place for entertaining.
True. The garage, if you want to shoot it right now, was brand new in 1987, was constructed, and
close.
It looks like they picked up all the design elements of the house itself, so it truly fits in, although it's less than 15 years old. It's nice when you have contractors who can bring it all together. We will go this way to show you what was restored in the yard. We have a couple pictures that shows the gazebo area years ago. And although it had fallen down, they decided to try to rebuild it as close as possible. So there's massive arches of brick out there to bring it back to the original condition.
Is this arbor here is an addition? This arbor area here?
Well, this is what the pictures show that it may have looked like. They designed it very closely, and the location is where it was at that time also. So this has been recreated to give you the feel of what the Bixbys may have had early 1900s. Just a patio for them.
What a neat patio just to set and entertain.
Show them this one when we get to We have a photograph here also of what this home looked like from the front gate. There was a lily pond from the front entry all the way to the edge of this house with a fountain right here. So that dates back to the early 1900s also. And we still have that fountain. I'd like to show it to you.
So this fountain is original to the house?
Sure is. If you can imagine standing here, looking south down toward the beach, but your main gate, which we came through, was still your private property, and you had a lily pond going 50, 60 feet deep to the front entry.
Is this the original layout of the area here, or is this...
You know, we feel that it's similar. The architect and the reconstruction people took great pains to try to bring it what would be authentic to the property. Probably interpretation, but still trying to be authentic to the property. This again is some used brick right here. There'll be a lot to see in a short time, so I only want to give you an overview of the backyard. This is a nice shot of the house this way. You can see how massive it is and the craftsmanship.
I can't believe at one time they had painted this house all white and taken off all the architectural details, and wasn't in what, until the late 80s, early 90s that it was...
brought back into its true grand style.
And Peter Devereaux was the architect or the builder, contractor who did the work?
Correct. He was the main contractor on the project.
Boy, he does beautiful work.
Correct. House has leaded glass windows all the way through, clear glass, but it is leaded. This area back here is just quite a contrast from the front because it's heavy vegetation, massive growth, but it's a totally shaded area.
Now these balustrades all had to be
The balusters throughout the house had mostly decayed. A lot of them had completely fallen off, and it took massive work to look at old pictures, design them, and replace.
Wow, what a job.
I wasn't here, but I guess the neighbors had their hands full for some time. There's a rose garden back here, and out front also. We understand the Bixby love their outdoors, their roses, so even trying to design that into the element was fun.
It's like a maze.
Are you with this? It is quite a big property. I like the property for several features, but you have different growing conditions. This is bright sunny. We just left the shaded area. This is more common yard-like. The tropical area behind us gives another challenge, and then back out front looks very formal with the gardens and such out front. We'll do a quick breeze through here, and I'll turn you back to reviewing the inside. The property sets on less than an acre right now, but all the other homes around us are similar. Some are smaller, some are equal in size, but this being the foundation home of the complete tract.
Certainly looks like it's the most spectacular home in the tract too.
When you will be going through the house, you'll probably come out on this balcony right here, and below that balcony is the kitchen. Has been remodeled and enlarged, and that way we received a balcony above the kitchen for that purpose. I'll get you back out front.
Okay.
And turn you over to Gary, who will give you the tour of the inside of the home. I think this is a great shot. This is the back side, which hardly ever gets viewed, but for me, there's nothing that's subtracting from the outline of the property of the home when you look at it this way.
Boy, what a design.
You want to paint those eaves, Harvey?
No, thank you.
A little bit much.
To tell you the truth, I wouldn't even want to mow the lawn.
I don't mow the lawn either. Please join us and we'll see the inside of the property.
Hi, Gary.
Hi, welcome to the George Bixby Ranch House.
Thank you. I want to introduce Gary Smith, another of the owner here, and he's going to take us through this magnificent home.
Okay, you're entering the main reception hall of the house. This is all original, the wood you see in here, and if we walk towards the back end, you'll see the staircase that goes upstairs. That is also the original.
Is this oak?
Yes, this is all oak, English oak, most of it.
Which way are we going?
I just want to show the staircase because this is the most impressive part of this room. And this is all the original wood.
Now, did I read somewhere where the banister is made of poplar?
I think it might be, yes.
I wonder why they used a different wood.
Maybe because of the hardness of the oak for carving.
That could well be.
And if we go to this room to our left, this was the main living room when the Bixbys had it. George Bixby used to have all his books and such in this room here. Again, this is all original wood, the original fireplace.
Now, this home has 6 fireplaces?
Actually has 6 fireplaces. Each of the rooms downstairs have one, and then 2 of the bedrooms upstairs have fireplaces.
Now, are these leaded glass
Yes.
shelves because this was once a library?
Yes, he used it. It was like a combination library and living room. And I have a picture of how it looked in the gas age when they actually had gas lighting in here. The windows are all original. They have been re-leaded and repaired, but they're all the original glass.
Because you have so many beautiful floral arrangements and greenery.
Well, we're in the florist business.
Oh, no wonder. Where?
Dwayne and I own Gerard's Florist down on Anaheim and Redondo, and so we do like flowers, and we have a lot of them in the house.
This is just magnificent.
Let me show you the
Oh,
picture.
I see a Roseville collection up here also.
We also collect Roseville pottery, and you'll see a lot of it as you go through the house. Now, I don't know if you can get this picture, but this is a picture of this room as it originally looked. And if you'll notice, the lamp on the center table is gaslit. And it shows all the original bookcases.
Okay, then we can go across the hallway.
Across the hallway, this room has been completely redone due to the fire department's request to have it redone. It was originally a den modeled after an Australian hunting lodge. And so the walls were covered with a lot of cement that looked like logs. Fireplace was the same way.
This is a picture of what it looked like.
This is a picture of what it looked like. And the owners that did the extensive remodeling before we bought it had it torn out and made as you see it now. And this room was used as our den. And of course, we're using it as a library.
The rooms are all quite large,
Yeah,
aren't they?
they're all large. The bedrooms tend to be small, but the public areas are all large rooms. Here, I can hold this picture up, maybe you can get a view of what it looked like before it was completely torn out. And if we now go back to our left, we'll go into what was called the music room. I might point out that the last owners put in fire hoses and fire extinguishers throughout the house for fire safety purposes. This room here on your left was used by one of the previous owners as a little office area. And as you can see, it looks on in through to the living room.
What a neat little room. It almost looks like a telephone booth.
Yeah. And as we go back here, this...
Beautiful pocket doors.
Oh, yeah, there are 2 of them in the house. Now if I can get it to go. This is probably the largest room in the house. It was called the music room, and it has the most impressive wood finishing in here.
Oh, look at the coffered ceilings, all quarter sawn mahogany.
Right. And all of the wood was brought over from England.
Wow. What neat little window seats too.
Yeah, several of the rooms have window seats in them. This again is another original fireplace. By the way, all the fireplaces in the house all work.
Wow.
We do use some of them.
Do you use all of these rooms?
Oh yeah, yeah. We have company or visitors. We tend to use this room a lot more because it's like our den, and it's off the dining room where it makes it convenient. And if we go this way, the other impressive room in the house is the dining room, which again follows the same wood that you find in the music room.
Wonder how many trees it took to do all this woodwork.
Probably the most impressive thing is the two pillars on either side of the fireplace, and they were carved out of solid pieces of wood.
Now, aren't those replicas of pillars that are in one of the small chapels in the Vatican?
Yeah, that's what we were told. And I might call your attention to the two fireplaces and the carvings on them. They do match this one and the one in the previous room. When the Bixby's had parties, they opened up these two rooms for a large area for dancing and whatever.
This is a unique hutch, too.
Yeah, let me show you the unique drawers in it here.
Oh, you wouldn't even know they were drawers, would you?
I know. It took us almost a year before we knew these were drawers in here. But you can see some of the extensive carving that was done here.
What a master carpenter that would have been. This is an impressive room.
Now, going from here, we're going into the kitchen. You'll find this has all been modernized and expanded. Now, I might call your attention to this little cutler area. This is original cabinetry that was in the old kitchen.
This is quite a collection of pottery. Does this have a story to it?
Well, from those that are particularly from the East Coast would recognize it as Jewel Tea.
I remember Jewel Tea Company. Didn't they used to home deliver?
Yeah, and these were premiums that the ladies would buy when they bought their coffee, tea, spices, and such. And this is my collection that I've had for several years.
Now, if I ever had a kitchen, this is the kind of kitchen I would want. I love the size of this.
Well, it's actually twice the size as the original kitchen in the house. The original kitchen came to where that staircase is. The part beyond was added on by the last owners. And
You have so many beautiful pieces of antiques. Have you collected these over the years?
oh yeah, I've been collecting antiques almost since the time I've been in California in the 50s.
Just beautiful pieces.
Now I might call your attention to the leaded glass windows. They're all original. And the part you see in the cabinets there have been redone to match the original outside windows.
This is truly a spectacular home.
Yes, it's great for entertaining. It's really great for entertaining for the space we have. The prior owners put in 2 dishwashers, 2 convection ovens, a microwave oven, and dual refrigerators that are like commercial size. So it provides a lot of space for cooking and food preparation.
So you're well equipped.
Oh yeah. And if we can go up this way, and this is the back staircase to the upstairs. You want to take a shot of that. These are 2 interesting rooms. This one here was a laundry room originally and was made into a bathroom.
And you have what, 8 bedrooms and 7 baths in the house?
8 bedrooms and 7 baths, yeah.
Wow.
And then here, oops, this was one of the original downstairs bathrooms. You can notice the flooring,
Oh, the tile, yeah.
the old tile. And this takes us back out to the front of the house again.
Yeah, I'd get lost in this house.
There's actually 7,800 square feet, counting the fairly large attic we have.
Wow. I noticed several clocks. Do you collect clocks?
I have probably 65 clocks in the house.
That's a beautiful tapestry.
Yeah, that came from my hometown, Amsterdam, New York, from an estate back there.
Perfect place for it
Yeah,
to hang.
it did. And if we go this way, I'll take you into the master bedroom. Again, this wing we're going into was a second addition to the house.
You know, one thing that I've noticed as we go along, there are all kinds of little closets. Every space
yeah.
seems like it's been utilized for
These-
storage.
These are closets that go out into the eaves, and we use them for various purposes. That's, now this room was originally the master bedroom. However, it only went to the edge of the fireplace. And the area to your left was a bathroom.
I love that sculpture of the little boy and the dog.
Yeah, we acquired that fairly recent, since we moved into the house.
Boy, what a nice sized bedroom.
Well, it's
What a beautiful bed.
basically the room was expanded by a third from its original size.
Okay, Gary, let's go look at some more of the rooms here.
Well, we'll go up to the front of the house. We have another 3 bedrooms up there, which are much smaller in size than any of the other rooms in the house. If you go to your right here, this is a small bathroom that has been remodeled, basically. This is one of the original bedrooms, and the other fireplace, which we have upstairs.
This looks like a little kid's room.
Yeah, it's designed as a kid's room. And this is the original old tile that you find around the fireplace and the woodwork.
Neat room.
And from here, we go into another room which we thought was a sitting room for the upstairs. And it's the front of the house, the big bay window you see from the upstairs.
You know, I've noticed several doors that have glass. Is there a reason?
I don't know. The only thing I was thinking is that public areas like this. That's why we thought this was a sitting room, because of the glass door. And there's a third bedroom on this side. And again, the bedrooms are fairly small.
The wood's in absolutely perfect condition, isn't it?
Now you'll notice that as we go into this part of the house, you find the wood has been painted here, a white. And we figured this might have been children's rooms.
Now, the Bixby's had, what, 7 children, I believe, didn't
Yeah,
they?
had 7 children.
So they needed a large house.
And there's a little half bath here that counts as one of the 7 bathrooms in the house.
Well, this just keeps winding around and around.
Another fairly large bedroom we use as a guest room.
This is a beautiful room.
And you'll notice the closets again built into the eaves.
I just can't get over your antiques.
A lot of this was acquired by Dwayne and I over the years. This bedroom set, for example, we bought at the Baker auction up in the city of Paramount a couple of years ago after we moved into the house. And the quilts you see, like the one on the rack, was made by a friend of mine's grandmother back in Texas. And I have 2 or 3 of those in the house.
That's a quaint little chandelier.
We think that might have been original. It's the only one like it in the house.
And I think we have more down here.
Yeah, we have another wing Now, this is a unique area. We don't know why, but it didn't have a door, or ever had a door. It's like a little alcove. We don't know what it was used for. And we go to the last wing of the house, straight ahead. And this wing, again, you'll notice all of the woodwork in here has been painted white. This room where I'm using is my office. And again, the original leaded windows on the door. And if we want to step out on the balcony, you can get a pretty good view of the backyard. And our
Boy, your orchids are in bloom.
the orchid collection. But we have about 6/10 of an acre here. So it's enough yard for us.
What a pleasant setting.
The trees, the old oak trees are original. They've been here for quite some time.
Now, I believe Long Beach Heritage is going to have a great homes tour, and you're going to be one of the homes on the tour?
Yeah, we're one of the houses on the tour.
We only have about a minute and a half left. Let's go back and look at the one last room in there.
Okay, we have one more bedroom to go through. Oh, Harvey, we have one more bedroom to see off to your right here.
All right.
And this bedroom was pretty much the way you see it. Call your attention to the old-fashioned little cabinet that's in the wall there, the original door and such. And this is in the back of the house, viewing the backyard.
What a spectacular home. This truly is one of the great homes of Long Beach.
One of the amazing things is I have this lady that comes in one day a week to clean and keep it. She keeps it like her own home, and it always looks the same.
Well, let's go find Dwayne, and Dwayne, you're right in there?
Yeah.
I want to thank both of you. Okay, Gary and Dwayne, I want to thank both of you for letting us invade your privacy today. It's just an enjoyable day just to be able to see this magnificent home. It's incredible.
We appreciate the opportunity to show it to you and to the people that may view the program on TV.
Oh, I hope there are going to be many.
Yes, thanks for coming. We enjoyed you.
Thank you for letting us see all of your priceless treasures. This indeed is a spectacular home. This is Harvey Keller. Join us again next month as we take another walk through history and uncover more Long Beach treasures. Hello, and welcome to another edition of Long Beach Treasures. I'm your host, Harvey Keller. Today I'm at the historic community hospital. It was built between 1922 and 1924 as a 150-bed hospital. Today it's licensed for 258. This is a historical site designated by the Cultural Heritage Commission of Long Beach. And joining me today is Dr. Louise Ivers, who is the head of the art department at California State University at Dominguez Hills. Thank you for joining me today, Dr. Ivers.
Hi, Harvey.
Would you tell me a little bit about the architecture of this building and the architect? I know that you have put in several years of your life recently doing a retrospective on the architect Hugh Davies.
At least 10 years.
Wow, what dedication.
Anyway, the building is Mission Revival style, and there's a large arcade out in the front, and that is really what is the hallmark of the Mission Revival style. And early descriptions of the building in the Press Telegram also say that it was Mission Revival style. Another thing is the roof tiles, which are called tejas in Spanish, and they are made of clay and formed in a mold and overlap each other. They're another characteristic of the Mission style. The Mission style, of course, is derived from the early California missions, and these were all built in the late 18th and early 19th centuries, ranging from San Diego up to Sonoma, and many of them had these arcaded cloisters or convents where the friars lived. And so we see something of this style in the front of the hospital here. On the front of the building, inside the patio, we have more arches and a gabled roof and an arched panel up here around the doorway. There's wrought ironwork, which could also be found on the missions. The lights are in the 1920s style. Davies began designing this in 1922. That's when he completed his original drawings for the structure. It took, I would say, probably another year to raise the funds, and then the construction was completed in 1924.
Are fountains a hallmark of the mission style?
Yes, that's another thing that's pretty typical, is that most of the missions have fountains, which look very much like this one, in the patios, and they were used for drinking water. There were plants inside the patios. The friars brought with them seeds from the old world, meaning Spain, and also slips of fruit trees, various cuttings of different types of plants, and they also introduced the wine industry.
Now, the exterior of the courtyard here, this is all original.
Yes, it is.
And the interior has been remodeled.
Yeah, the interior has been remodeled. I'm not exactly sure what it looked like. I have seen some old photographs on the microfilms of the Press Telegram, but it's hard to tell in microfilm what is actually going on. But yes, the exterior of this central section of the hospital in the front is all original. And the administration was in this part up here, facing the patio. That's probably the original front door, or at least it certainly looks like it.
Would these pavers be original, or have these been replaced?
I don't really know, but if they have been replaced, they're in the correct style. They look like the Spanish floor tiles, which are called ladrillos. And I was also observing the tiles of the fountain and the steps, and they may or may not be original. It's hard to say, but if they're not, they're in the same style that Hugh Davies would have used in the 1920s. Mostly he used Gladding McBean tiles, and they were in sort of Spanish patterns, yeah.
And Gladding McBean, that's over 100 years old
Right,
and still in existence
yes.
up in Northern California.
Yes, exactly.
They did the tile for the mosaic down at the WPA Mosaic on the promenade.
Right.
Are there any distinguishing features or hallmarks that would distinguish Hugh Davies' architectural style?
Well, this is one of Davies' early buildings when he was still working in the revival styles. And he did a number of houses in the Tudor style, and then he did some other buildings, houses included, in this Spanish style. In the 1930s, he became interested in modern architecture, and in fact, he pioneered modern architecture in Long Beach. He was the first person to build a house in the international style, and it was called the 20th Century House. It's still over on Myrtle today.
Myrtle and what?
Oh, I can't remember.
What other buildings did Mr. Davies design in Long Beach that our viewers might be familiar with?
Well, one is Poly High School, which he reconstructed after the earthquake, and actually, he also designed the modern wings here of the hospital, which are behind us. And those were in the 1950s. But yeah, he rebuilt the auditorium of Poly High School in 1933 to 4, and then designed all of the other buildings, which were mainly completed by about 1936.
Now, if somebody wanted to see your photos of Davies' accomplishment, are they available?
Well, I just had an exhibit at the Cal State Dominguez Hills University Art Gallery. However, it's closed down now. It just ended a couple of days ago. And I have a catalog which I wrote, which is illustrated with some contemporary and some historic photographs, which may still be available at the art gallery, but I don't know how many copies are left.
Are there any other features we should point out here that distinguishes this building from other Mission Revival styles?
Well, it's pretty characteristic of the Mission Revival style, I would say, which was popular in Southern California from, about the 1890s through the 1930s.
This is really a very beautiful building still.
It is. It's very pleasant inside this courtyard. You don't hear the sounds of the street. You hear water pouring over the pieces of the fountain.
I think I see Kathy Berry over here. Kathy, come on over here. We want to ask you a few questions. Kathy is the Public Relations Director here at Community Hospital. She's done a lot of work for Long Beach Heritage, so we know Kathy quite well. Kathy, this building or the hospital was closed down,
Was closed down about mid-year 2000, and then we reopened in June of 2001.
Was that because of economic reasons?
The former owner of the hospital said that it was because of economic reasons, but of course it left a void on the east side of town, and there was a very organized, very successful grassroots effort that brought this hospital back again and opened it.
Wasn't that sort of spearheaded by Dr. Pugash and Betty Keller?
Yes, it was.
Boy, they sure did a phenomenal job.
They did a phenomenal job, but people in this community that walked neighborhoods, the police and fire, volunteers, and all of the volunteers that have been here at the hospital for many years were all instrumental in making that happen.
And I think you're going to have a one-year anniversary?
We are. On June 27th of this year is our one-year anniversary of the reopening, and we're going to celebrate for a whole month. And we have a variety of activities, some which are only available to employees, but several of which are available to the community. And I'll take this opportunity to invite people to come. On June the 27th, which is a Thursday, we are going to have a Red Cross blood drive, which is something traditionally that this hospital has done over the years. On Saturday, June the 29th, we are going to have an open house and a pancake breakfast. So people can come out and have pancakes and sausage cooked by our own Long Beach Fire Department, and then have tours of the hospital to see how we've done and what we are doing. And then on July the 21st, we are going to have a baseball game with the Breakers baseball team, the new baseball team here in town, at Blair Field. It'll be community hospital night. And I'll give you a little exclusive, Harvey. Next week, we are going to make an announcement that Community Hospital has become the official hospital for the Breakers baseball team.
Is anybody going to jump into the fountain?
No, I don't think so. Would you like to volunteer?
Sure, why not?
Quick,
I'm game.
Quick, get the camera over there. So we invite people to come out and join us and be at the baseball game on July 21st, which is a Sunday, and come to the open house and see how the hospital looks and visit the different departments and come have a pancake breakfast. It'll be from 9 to noon.
This has really been a godsend for the people on the east end of Long Beach, hasn't it?
Yes,
with
it has.
reopening.
It really has. And you know, people still don't know that it's reopened. I mean, with all the publicity that it had during the closure and the reopening, we still get people saying, oh my gosh, I didn't know Community Hospital was open. Our emergency department, you go to some of the other hospitals in Long Beach, which are perfectly good hospitals, but if you have to go to emergency, you wait for a long time. There's very, very little waiting here. Very little waiting. So
I'm going to come over here very soon. I want to do a full body scan. You do them here, don't you?
Oh, we do a full body scan, and you know what? Those are just absolutely incredible. And as of this week, we are also doing, now let's see if I can say it right, a virtual colonoscopy. The colonoscopies, which are very painful to have, I understand.
I can verify that.
Okay. They're doing virtual ones. Absolutely painless. I talked to the first patient this afternoon. They did the first one today on Brother Tom, who's one of the priests that comes to the hospital. And he said, it was a piece of cake. So the body scans and the colonoscopies are wonderful things. And yes, we're doing them, and we invite people to come in. And I'll tell you, if they come in and they say they've seen your show on cable, we can probably offer a little discount. If they say we saw Harvey Keller's show, we can get Tom King to give him a little bit of a deal.
What if I come in and say, I saw my own show?
I think that would be a good idea. I think that we'll see what we can do for you.
Kathy, thank you so much, and we look forward to your celebration, and I hope everyone in Long Beach turns out and comes out to help you celebrate.
And I'll have pancakes for you.
Super.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks, Harvey. Thanks.
Louise, I want to thank you also because you're the expert when it comes to historic structures here in Long Beach, the definition of style, the explanation of style, and I guess you're the expert on Hugh Davies now.
Well, thank you for your compliment, and it was a pleasure being here. And this is a wonderful place, and I hope that it does get more business, certainly. The architecture is marvelous, and yes, it needs to be preserved, and we need to preserve more buildings here in Long Beach. I can get in a plug for historic preservation as well.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I've worked for preservation, as you have, for many years with Long Beach Heritage, and I think we're doing an outstanding job.
I think we are,
and
too.
we're going to continue.
Yes, for sure. On into the 21st century and longer.
So don't go away. We'll be right back with more Long Beach Treasures.
What makes Paulie's different?
Well, first of all, his coffee is fresh roasted 1,000 miles from Seattle, so we like to have coffee that's fresher and tastes better.
We carry about 70 varieties of coffee. But the thing that I believe makes Paulie's special is the people who work at Paulie's. We're a neighborhood store. We're your family store. We know you, you know us. We'll take care of you.
We were voted the #1 coffee house in Long Beach in the recent Press Telegram poll.
Paulie's Gourmet Coffee. Doesn't get any better than this.
Oh, hi, I'm Dr. Jack Thomas, and I'm very excited to tell you that Dr. Jack's House Call, in conjunction with Charter Communications, is on the air in its brand new format. We're live the third Tuesday of each month at 6:30 p.m. with repeat performances twice weekly. It's incumbent on us to be advocates for our own good health. Staying well comes from living well, being informed, and not relying on health insurers who may not have our best interests in mind. So be smart. Tune in. It's your life.
Founded in 1921, the Downtown Long Beach Lions Club plays an important role in our community. In December of 2000, Lions and other local leaders celebrated the addition of the Lions Lighthouse for Sight to the city skyline. This icon is a symbol of the club's charitable support for many institutions here in Long Beach. Glasses and eye exams for children and adults are our important activities. Downtown Long Beach Lions work hard to live up to the motto of "We Serve."
Wilbanks Carpet Company. If you're looking for carpet, floor covering, beds, or furniture, come to Wilbanks. We carry all the major premium carpets by Karastan, Horizon, and Mohawk, and you never have to pay sales tax. See our premium bed selection with many name brands to choose from, or check out our furniture with the latest styles at great prices. View our beautiful floor coverings from Mannington, Wilson Art, and many more. Wilbanks Carpet Company. Never pay retail or sales tax again.
Welcome back. Now we're going to take a tour of a really unusual home here in Long Beach. It's referred to as the Skinny House. This was built in 1931. It was built on a bet that they couldn't build a house on a lot 10 feet by 50 feet. Well, the owner proved them wrong, and they built this house. It's a English Tudor revival style. It's 860 square feet, and it's owned by Laurie Atherton. It's not only listed as a Long Beach historical landmark, it's also been featured in Ripley's Believe It or Not, and also in the Guinness Book of Records. So if you'll come with me, we'll go find Laurie and we'll show you the Skinny House. Hi, Laurie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for letting us join you today to see your very unique house.
Come on in.
Okay, now I guess this is just one room wide, right?
It's 9 feet 1 inch wide.
How do you get furniture up on the upper levels?
I didn't have any problem with my furniture except for my box springs for my bed, which I had to take apart.
And how many rooms do you have here?
Well, we've got 2 rooms on this floor. We've got 2 bedrooms on the 2nd floor and a bathroom. And we have a 3rd room on the 3rd floor.
This must almost seem like living on a ship.
That's what people have likened this house to, how it was built, especially in the storage areas that they put into this house.
It's really quaint and unique.
It is just adorable.
How do you like living here?
I love it.
Do you?
It's just, there's so many special things about this house.
Can we see some more of it?
Well, notice the beautiful beam ceilings and the stenciling.
They're stenciling up there also. They're beautiful. Those are original?
Absolutely original. The wall sconces are original, and the pattern is repeated on the banister on the for the stairwell, and it's repeated on this little shelf.
Well, that's quite a bit of workmanship.
Yeah, and this is a nice thing that they have in the house. This feature.
Oh, you turn the lights on in the closet?
No, I turn the light in the closet
Oh,
because
so that you have a colored light here in the front room.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how unique.
Yes, and that is original to the house, too.
Wow. And this is your kitchen?
Yes. And when this was built in the 1930s, the stoves had to be lit by matches, so they have a little place for the matches as well.
They thought of everything, didn't they?
The places that they have for storage in this house are so nice. They're so thoughtful.
What a cute little patio.
And it's just adorable.
What a nice place to have coffee in the morning.
Yes, and an attorney who had this house in the 70s and the 80s was partners with the restaurant owner in back of us, and he had a back door into the restaurant here. And when he left, they bricked it up and put this little shed here.
Boy, everything is really compact here, isn't it?
You're going to see this on the second and third floors as well.
Good, let's go on up.
Okay.
Okay, now we get to see the upstairs.
Okay, here we go.
This is rather a narrow stairway, isn't it?
It is, and this is where the telephone went.
Ah, so now that you have a cordless, you don't need it?
Nope. When this was built in the depths of the Depression, the guy who built it was in the business, so he got all these out-of-work artisans and craftsmen to work on the houses. That's why there's this beautiful Art Deco bathroom.
And the leaded windows are beautiful.
The only code there was in the 1930s is that you had to have a window in the bathroom, so they had to indent the walls to put these windows here and in the stairwell, because it was built on the lot line, so there are no windows on the sides of the house. And this is one of the nice, I told you about the storage facilities in this house. Both sides, medicine cabinets. Pull it away, more storage space.
Oh, wow.
And underneath, it's a tiny little closet in this hallway. This tiny little triangle. I told you about the attorney who had the house. He removed the ceiling because this was his office. He removed the ceiling and opened up the beams in the attic and built this shelf.
So the beams being exposed was not original?
Well, no, they were original
to the attic. They were there,
attic.
but they were not exposed?
No, they were in the attic. So this was his office. And it's just such a delight to lay in bed at night and just stare up at the ceiling and just with this big smile on your face.
This is a charming little house. It's almost like a Hansel and Gretel cottage. It's so unique and so many neat little things about it.
My mom calls it my dollhouse.
Well, that's a good description. I think your mom probably is right.
I called it a little jewel box. And
How long have you lived here?
I've lived here about 3 years.
3 years. Yeah. And this is located within the historic district of Rose Park?
Yes, indeed. And this house is on the historic list in Long Beach as well. It's number 21.
Number 21.
The skinny house.
And can we go back and look at some more?
Absolutely. When this was built, the owners had a little girl, and this was her bedroom.
This is a small little room, but it's perfect for a little office or for a den.
Mm-hmm.
I notice you have the windows are sort of, the glass is sort of distorted, so that gives you a lot more privacy.
Well, the attorney, his partner this was her office, and he put in the wavy glass here on the second and third floors, so he didn't have to put in curtains or drapes to obscure the sun. Because one of the things about this house is because it's built on the lot line, there are no windows on the side. The only light you're going to get is from the front and the back.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
And I think we have, what, one more floor?
one more floor. When this was built, the third floor was the laundry room.
Ah, okay.
And can you imagine dragging up your heavy, dirty clothes up here every week?
Wow, this is a steep staircase.
Yes.
Oh.
This was the laundry room. That's why there's hot and cold running water up here. And the attorney had a built-in bed made for this room, and this was his room when his offices were downstairs. And a family of 6 lived here, so we're assuming that they used this one as a bedroom as
I
well.
can't believe a family of 6 could fit into the house.
4 girls.
Wow. One bathroom?
1 bathroom.
Oh, this is a nice little deck.
Isn't it adorable? And it's so nice and private to come up here on a Sunday morning with your pot of coffee and your newspapers and just sit and read and enjoy.
Now, does this window lead outside or into your bedroom?
That was the attic.
Oh. Small attic, huh?
Well, everything here is small.
So this house takes up the entire lot.
Absolutely.
And you have no yard work.
Well, I do have a yard. It's 1 feet wide and 5 feet long.
Is that in the front called the
That's in the
parking
front.
area?
No, I have that tiny little strip with 3 rose bushes.
Oh, okay. So, and I believe are we on the 2nd floor?
We're on the 3rd floor.
We're on the 3rd floor, so this is the top deck.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
Yeah. The attorney, when this was put on the historical register, had a deck built on the roof, and he had to take it down because it was not original to the house. So it was actually a little higher at one time.
Well, this certainly is a unique house. It must be fun to live here.
It is.
You can't really entertain large crowds, can you?
You do it in shifts. Because it's 3 stories tall, you can have them up here on the deck, and you can have them in the living room, and you can have them on the deck and out and back, but it's in shifts.
So you use buffet style so they can help themselves.
Absolutely. At Christmas time, it's definitely buffet.
Well, this is just a wonderful little example of something that's unique in Long Beach. This is probably the most unique house in Long Beach, wouldn't you say?
It does have a lot of unique features. They exploited every inch that they could in this house. They really did.
He did a remarkable job in putting a lot into so little.
He certainly did. I mean, the features that they put into this house are just phenomenal.
Do you know if the builder lived here when it was first built, or did he?
He and his wife lived here for 8 years, and their little girl. And the story is the little girl came back and raised her 2 sons in the 60s in this house.
So it's been a family home ever since it was built.
That's what I'm told. I'm just waiting for one of the sons to come back.
Well, you know, I want to thank you for joining us today because this is so unique, and as I've said so many times before, one of the things I like best about doing this show is that I get to go into places that normally people don't have an opportunity to see, and this certainly is a unique experience for me. And I want to thank you so much for joining us here on our journey today, and I wish you well. Thank you so
very
much.
Thank you.
This is Harvey Keller saying thanks for joining us today on our unique tour through the Skinny House, and be sure and come back and join us again next time as we take another walk through history and uncover more Long Beach treasures. welcome to another Editions of Long Beach Treasures. I'm your host, Harvey Keller. Today we're going to be talking with a true Long Beach treasure, Ed Killingsworth, noted architect who has designed some of the most beautiful buildings around the world. Mr. Killingsworth, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Harvey.
And I noticed that these pictures up here, these are your works of art.
Yes.
Could you maybe just tell us what they are?
Well, the one at the left here, top, that is Elkhorn at Sun Valley, Idaho. That's a ski resort, which we finished a number of years ago. This is down below is the Cambridge building, which has won all kinds of awards around the world. Matter of fact, it won first prize in competition with 50 countries.
Now that's on Bixby Road, right?
Bixby Road, just off of Long Beach Boulevard. It's really a very important building. As a matter of fact, it kind of shook up the whole world when it won first prize in competition with 50 countries. This is our beautiful Kahala Hilton Hotel, which we built 45 years ago. And it sold about 5 years ago to the Mandarin Hotels. And the Mandarin Hotels then asked us to go in. And since it was 40 years old, it was a little tired and dusty and so forth. And so anyway, they asked us to redo it. And so we spent $70 million renovating the Kahala Hilton. We saved the chandeliers.
I can't believe something that large must weigh a ton.
Yeah, they are very. Matter of fact, the new owners, they wanted to get rid of them, and we had a real battle, and I won. And they're there, still there, and the teak floors are still there. And then below that is the Kapalua Bay Hotel and Kapalua Bay in Maui, Hawaii. It is one of our most beautiful hotels. The lobby is staggering. It's 55 feet high, and really quite nice. This hotel here is the Halakalani. Matter of fact, that's in Waikiki in Honolulu. It's on 5 acres, kind of right in the heart of what we call the jungle there, and it's really a beautiful hotel. Last year, it was selected by Gourmet Magazine as the #1 hotel in the world. It was the #1 hotel. So we felt very pleased with that, and it's a beautiful hotel. If you ever get to Honolulu, make sure you see that one. Above that is one of the case study houses. That's the case study triad in La Jolla. The case study houses are very famous, and as a matter of fact, we built them 40 years ago for Arts and Architecture magazine. And matter of fact, quite interesting, next Sunday, matter of fact, they are having a book signing. Matter of fact, they put out a new book, which was published in Germany. It's in 3 languages on the case study houses, all the photographs. And the book is a real goodie because it costs $150. And I have a copy of it here for you to see. But this is one of the houses in it, which was called the case study triad.
Why is it called case study?
Well, it was the Arts and Architecture magazine. There was quite a story. Before World War II, matter of fact, it was almost impossible to build a modern house because the insurance agencies and the people who loaned banks, they wouldn't loan money on a modern house, quote, modern, which had glass or it happened to have a flat roof or something, or it had open plan. So John Intenza, who had Arts and Architecture magazine, decided he's going to change all of that. And so he just selected a group of architects to have them build these houses. And then after they got them built, then matter of fact, each one of the houses is open for 6 weeks for the architectural profession to come and see. But this was, matter of fact, this was the case study triad. It happened to be 3 houses. Matter of fact, it was going to be 80 houses originally, but these were the 3 prototype houses. And matter of fact, that's House B up there on the top, which is was quite a beautiful house. And it has it's known worldwide as one of the triad. And matter of fact, what this case study book is all on these houses. Matter of fact, there were 24 of them built, and fortunately, I designed 6 of them. So,
They're beautiful.
this is another one of the case study houses here. This is House B. Matter of fact, that's the same house up there, but now you're looking at from House B down to House A. That photograph is from House A up to House B, but here you're looking from House B down to House A, and way off in the distance there is Long Beach. This is La Jolla on the hills.
I notice in most of these, or in a lot of these pictures, you have water, reflecting pools.
Yes.
Is that a signature of yours?
Yes, yes. Matter of fact, we enjoy water and the reflections. It's like our office building here. When we first built the office building, of course, we put in this pool. Actually, the water is only 1.5 inches deep, but the bottom of the pool is painted black, so you don't know how deep it is. And it makes a beautiful reflection.
Was that for safety reasons?
Yes, because I didn't want to come in on Monday morning and find a child drowned in the pool. And so it's only 1.5 inches deep. So the women coming in over the stepping stones, they all are hanging onto the rail, think they're going to fall into the water. And I show them it's 1.5 inches deep, and they feel very foolish. But this is the Montalani Bay Hotel and Resort, and that's on the big island of Hawaii. And that's about 5 miles from the Mauna Kea Rockefeller Institution. But this is quite a beautiful hotel, and it has quite a nice reputation. Matter of fact, they have 4 rooms there that rent at $4,500 a night.
Wow.
Matter of fact, they're just beautiful, and rightly so. This is probably the best project which we have designed in the office, and we did that 45 years ago. It was down in the Naples area of Long Beach, and it's called the Opdahl House because Dick Opdahl was the owner. He was a teacher here in town, and he and his wife, and it's a beautiful house. It's on a 30 by 80 foot lot, and on Geneva Walk in Naples.
That's small, isn't it?
Yes, it's very small, tiny. But this shows what you can do on a tiny piece of property. And it's been published. It's won every award, I think, in the world. And it's been published in probably every magazine, architecture magazine in the world. But it has been destroyed now because the owner who has it now went in and chopped it all up and did all strange things to it. But I was very unhappy. I should have bought it, but I didn't. So, architects should buy all their buildings. If you had that much money, I'd be fine. Matter of fact, the building down below, just below this, that is a Balinese theater. And matter of fact, and that is in Jakarta, Indonesia. That's at our Jakarta Hilton Hotel, which we built in '75. It has about 1,200 rooms now. And this was out in matter of fact, it was an old polluted river, and we made it into a lake. And then we brought in the Balinese to do these buildings. We did the master plan, but I told them I wanted them to do the buildings because I didn't want to look like a Disneyland, and I wanted them to have it authentic. So I brought in 300 Balinese, and they carved what you see there, they carved, and it took them a year to carve that.
Looking at that, you would think that came from the time of antiquity.
No, it was 1 year. Matter of fact, 300. Matter of fact, most of them were from 11 to 20 years old. These incredible carvers. I have some slides of them, which are quite interesting.
You have some models in the back. Could we go take a peek at some of those?
Let's take a look at this.
Oh.
This is one of the most famous of our houses. This is another case study house. This is case study number 25. And it has, matter of fact, that's down on Rivo Alto Canal. And matter of fact, that's on a 40 by 90 foot lot. The olive tree is put there so that as you look across the canal, you don't see the kind of dumpy old houses across the way.
Have I seen this statue somewhere today here?
Yes, it's in the office. Matter of fact, this house we built for Ed Frank of Frank Brothers Furniture. And he was, matter of fact, he wanted a case study house, and so we built this for him on this lot. And along the way, for years, well, when he moved out of the house, he took that Rosenthal piece of sculpture with him. And so I was always trying to buy it from him. So I finally, years later, bought it from him, and it is now in our reception room of our office out front. We can take a shot of that as we go out. And but this house is very, very famous. That's a 17-foot door, and matter of fact, and how do you get a 17-foot door? That was quite a trick, and so matter of fact, everyone said I was crazy, and so anyway, at that point, as I told the contractors, I looked at it, I said, what I see is it's a very simple space, and actually an airplane wing would do it. So anyway, we went to Northrop Aircraft, and they built the door. And 30 years later, matter of fact, when it all deteriorated from the salt air and so forth, they built us another door. And but it's the reason it's that high because it's important to the space. When that door opens up, the space all opens with it. And
now, having built all these buildings around the world and in Long Beach, do you have a favorite? Or is that an unfair question? Are each of these like children? They're all your favorites?
Oh, well, you can't very well pick one. This is one of my favorites, of course, and because it's had so much publicity. And matter of fact, recently the publicity has hit this magazine. This is a new magazine from Japan, and matter of fact, it was Masterpieces 1945 to 1970. And you can see my name here.
Oh, yes.
And and here it is, 1961. Matter of fact, this is the Ed Frank case study number 25. This is the house. It's had a lot of publicity. Well, here it is again over here. This is the case study house book that I was speaking of.
From Germany?
Yes. It's in 3 languages, matter of fact. Matter of fact, but here, this is the house on Riverwalk. It's the same house here. Matter of fact, when they published these, matter of fact, they had to have a drawing of what the house was going to be, and this is my drawing of what the house was going to be, and this is the way it ended up. And so, anyway, it's quite a, matter of fact, here's the sculpture again you were asking about.
Yes.
And but it's, matter of fact, as I said, next Sunday they're having the book signing of this book, and people are coming in from around the world for this book signing.
And where will that be?
At MoCA, Museum of Contemporary Art.
In Long Beach.
No, MoCA up in L.A. On Bunker Hill. And so it's going to be quite a deal. This is another one of my drawings here. But and here's as you come in that tall front door, this is what you see. And you come in this door here, this is what you see. It's really a very beautiful house. And fortunately, most of our houses, after we've left them, several years later, they go into disrepair. But in this particular case, this house was in disrepair, but a couple happened to be walking by one night and they saw it and they fell madly in love with it, and so they bought it, and they have spent somewhere between $300,000 and $400,000 and repairing and putting a new roof on and doing all the things which it needed through the years, and it looks now as good as it did the day it was started. This is the announcement of the book signing. Matter of fact, next Sunday. That's one of my drawings up here. But it's really quite interesting. But this book, as a matter of fact, weighs about 20 pounds.
It is heavy, isn't it?
Heavy and costly. $150 for that book. But anyway, we've been very fortunate. So anyway, now down here, matter of fact, this is a model of a hotel we were going to build in Mexico City. We never got it built because the owner got interested in Brazil, and he put all his money into Brazil instead of Mexico. And so, but anyway, we got a beautiful model and a lot of nice memories out of it. It was an 800-room hotel on the Reforma in Mexico City. And
You had mentioned in the case study house the tall door.
yes.
I just happened to notice here, tall doors. Is
Yeah.
this another signature piece?
Yes, yes. Matter of fact, it's one of the things which I'm known for is the tall doors and the also for the glass and the flow of open planning and so forth and so on. So consequently, but the tall doors and the high ceilings are important.
Tell me some of the things that you've designed here in the city of Long Beach.
The City Hall Library, if you know that.
I do.
And matter of fact, and the Terrace Theater, if you know the Terrace Theater.
I go there all the time.
Yeah, okay, and the Performing Arts Center. Matter of fact, those were two of my projects I was involved with. We had several other architects involved, but I was involved with the design of those two buildings mainly. Then we have been the master planning architects of Cal State at Long Beach for 40 years.
My alma mater.
Yeah, and it's, as you probably know now, it's a sea of pink blooms. Matter of fact, with all of the peach trees blooming out there. Matter of fact, one of the things I wanted to do to make it very unusual is I planted 3,000 Helen Borchers, B-O-R-C-H-E-R-S, flowering peach trees. And then through the years, we've added to those. Now we have 4,200 of them out there on the campus.
Wow.
And so what I wanted to do was make this so in the spring, the kids would always remember the campus as pink and it'd be something very unusual. And also, no other city nor the government, no one paid out this is all paid for by private citizens. These are all donations, $12 a tree and so forth and so on. It was an inspiration I got because we didn't have money to do anything really very startling, and so I talked to Hank Ritter, as you probably remember Hank Ritter, who was the head of the
Press
newspaper.
Telegram.
Right. And Carl McIntosh, who was the president of the university at that time, and I talked them into this, and I told them, and if you probably remember Mac Epley, the writer.
Yes.
Well, Mac Epley, matter of fact, did a story on the cover of his magazine about this, not the magazine, the paper, on the, matter of fact, on the flowering peach trees. And then I got Llewellyn Bixby to kind of front the thing, because my name wouldn't mean anything. So anyway, Bix turned up with the idea that we'd plant these trees. So everybody got very enthusiastic. And so we raised the money to plant the trees, just $20,000. And it was, and that was about 25 years ago.
I was down there just last week on my way to the rancho, and I saw all those beautiful pink trees in bloom.
You know, they're wonderful. As a matter of fact, of course,
Do they bear fruit?
No. Well, sometimes a few of them will, and that gets to be kind of a difficult thing. But anyway, we did several things out there to on the campus to make it important, which wouldn't cost us any money. And one of them was the International Sculpture Symposium. All the sculpture you see out on campus there. Matter of fact, we brought in 10 sculptors from around the world. And matter of fact, they worked on the campus for 6 weeks. And matter of fact, and created the sculpture. We supplied all the materials. And it was really kind of like Rome at the time of the, matter of fact, all the wonderful things happening there. But anyway, but we brought in these sculptors from around the world to do this.
Is the pyramid yours?
It was mine, the fact that I'm the master planner and I'm involved with all the buildings on campus. But actually, the architect was Hugh and Don Gibbs, matter of fact, in town here. But then I worked with them. Matter of fact, the color is mine, matter of fact, and all. But anyway, and then we shoved it. Matter of fact, when the neighbors were unhappy with it going in, we just shoved it around to have it going to the right place and so forth. But but everything you see out there on the campus
has your signature on
mine.
it.
As a matter of fact, yes. And matter of fact, we have that wonderful president now, Matt Maxson, who really has just been wonderful. So.
Let's go look at some of your scale models.
Sure. All right, fine.
Now, I know that you've closed down your architectural firm. What's going to happen to this building?
Well, what we're taking is half the building will be made into an exhibit area of all of our architectural work and models and photographs and renderings and so forth. We have a lot of beautiful things. And so consequently, we're going to make this into an exhibit area with all the explanation and so forth. And we'll have videotapes and so forth of our work. And it should be very interesting. Then it'll be open to the public. And so they can come and see all this work, which is really, otherwise it'd be put away in a closet somewhere.
I noticed there are a couple of models here of your...
Yes, this is the, matter of fact, this one is the Religious Center at University of Southern California. And it's the, it was 5 Protestant denominations. And matter of fact, and it's really quite a beautiful building. And it looks better than the model, curious enough. And matter of fact, then...
Can we give another plug to another Long Beach treasure? Because if I'm not mistaken, that's your wife, Laura,
yes,
in the picture.
That's right.
Another Long Beach treasure.
Yes, she is a treasure. She's done 51 musical shows now, matter of fact, and her last one was 42nd Street. And matter of fact, that was last year out at Carpenter Center, but she is singing better than she ever has in her life.
Great.
Which is wonderful. But this, the picture you see there, it was at one of the case study houses when we were furnishing them. And she just hates that picture because she didn't like what she had on. But anyway, but it's famous around the world. Everybody knows that picture around the world. This, again, is the Princess Reforma in Mexico City. And matter of fact, then down here, this is the University of California at Riverside, the Student Union Lounge at Student Union. It's interesting. The kids didn't want a big barny place. They wanted something very intimate. So we start at 12 feet here and go up to 53 feet, a swooping roof, and it's really quite nice. And then it has a copper roof on it, which is aged very nicely.
We have just a couple of minutes left. Could we run in real quickly and look at some of the artistic work that was done by the children of Bali, I believe?
Yeah. Let's see. Now, where should we go?
There's one in your office.
Oh yes. Yeah, matter of fact, there's a panel of 4, which I think.
All right. Let's go look at them. What's the big picture on the wall here?
That is the Kahala Hilton at the top. Matter of fact, and there are planting beds there, and there's bougainvillea which spills clear down. They face the building. It's really quite beautiful. That's in Honolulu, of course, and off in the distance you can see Cocoa Head and Cocoa Head Crater, a couple of volcanoes. But it's...
and these are the paintings, some of the paintings by, are these Balinese children?
Yes. They call me a Bali nut because I love ballet so much. And we built the Bali Hilton there, and I spent 20 years putting that together. And while I was there, I got to know these children who had this young artist school of painting. And so I picked up these paintings while I was there, and these were painted by a boy about 15 years old. And then I have others around which are painted by even down to 10 years old. And matter of fact, they are really quite remarkable.
What medium did he use?
Oh, yeah,
oil?
No, it's not oil. I think it's, I really don't know.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, but there was a Dutch artist, actually, of course, as you probably know, that the ballet was, before World War II, was Dutch. And matter of fact, and so consequently has quite a Dutch influence. And so after the war, a Dutch painter came into Bali, and he saw these wonderful, talented kids, and he thought, oh, gee, it's too bad that they don't have the right colors and so forth. They were painting in the typical Balinese browns and blacks and umbers. And so anyway, he asked some of the chiefs of the village, what could he give them a new palette of colors, but not let them see his paintings. And they said yes, and so he gave them all these new colors, and he told them didn't take them home and paint. And this is what they turned up with, these incredible paintings with all this new color.
That's remarkable for a 15-year-old boy, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Well, matter of fact, of course, he's much older than that now, but they are, well, it's like the carvings, stone carvings you saw. Matter of fact, they do, all these wonderful carvings, and they're just incredibly talented people and nice. Matter of fact, on this other wall over here.
Is this one of your designs over here?
Yes, that is, matter of fact, that's in Australia. And matter of fact, and the one just below that is in Japan. That's Tomamu. It's a spa up on the ski resort. And matter of fact, and it's won a lot of awards. And the other alongside of it, that's another shot of the same thing. But
I notice another painting on this wall. It's a completely different color. This is all blue. This is bright red.
Yeah. Matter of fact, they're actually, it's too bad they're not lighted a little better, because that one, I'm very fond of that blue one, but it has a lot of character to it. But it's it's a wonderful talent they have, and whenever you have a chance to go somewhere around the world, go to Bali.
Is Bali one of your favorite places in the whole world?
Yes, yeah, Bali and Bangkok and so forth and so on. We have done work in Seoul, Korea, matter of fact, Kuching, Borneo, Jakarta, Indonesia, Bali, of course, and consequently, but we have, and and Japan. Matter of fact, we did the Tokyo Bay Hilton in Japan, and which is at Disneyland, and so we've been in most of them, and we built in Guam. We built the Okura Hotel in Guam, which is really quite beautiful. But we've been very fortunate. As a matter of fact, then in the United States, we have built the Phoenician Hotel over in Phoenix. A matter of fact, which is it was named as the #1 hotel in the Northern Hemisphere by 20,000 travel agents. Matter of fact, that's on the side of Camelback Mountain. And it was, matter of fact, we built it for this man, which everyone probably know, is Charles Keating. And we worked with him for 6 years putting that hotel together. It's a beautiful hotel, and fortunately we got out of it before.
I'm sorry we only have a half an hour, because I could talk to you for, well, a long, long time. Mr. Killingworth, thank you so much for joining me today, because you certainly are a Long Beach treasure.
Well, thank you. Well, it's nice of you to come in.
Be sure and come back next month as we take another walk through history and uncover more Long Beach treasures. Welcome to another edition of Long Beach Treasures. I'm your host, Harvey Keller. As you may or may not know, Long Beach has 15 historical districts. The latest one that was recently added was Belmont Heights. The largest is California Heights, and one of the smaller one is Wilton Street, and that's where I am today. Wilton Street runs between Termino on the east and Grand on the west. And joining me today is Jackie Dodge. She's one of the homeowners here. Welcome, Jackie, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Harvey. I'm anxious to have you see our homes on Wilton.
And I'm sure many people in Long Beach will recognize you as a former educator and principal in Long Beach, as well as your husband.
That's right, and I'm gladly retired, and that's wonderful, too.
And I am, too, after 30 years at Warren High School in Downey.
Then we have a lot in common.
We do. Your street is beautiful. Now, what period were these homes built?
I believe 1924.
And it just runs one block, and there's a house on Termino and one on Grand. Other than that, it's just the one block
That's right.
Historic.
That's right.
And the house that we're standing in front of here, the yard won a Jewel of the Neighborhood Award.
Yes, that was given last month to this family here, and it's a real treasure for our street. We think it's very pretty.
And these homes are all Spanish colonial mission revival, and they were all built by the same builder in 1924.
I think that's correct.
All right, well, let's go across the street and look at some of the other homes here on the historic Wilton Street.
Harvey, before we go, I'd like to explain back here to the left, the two houses were somewhat, when redone, were somewhat done alike, and that made it look such a larger corner for this, and we were grateful for that, and they've done a fine job with it.
And makes it look like a little hacienda.
It does that.
All right, let's go across the street and we'll check out some of the other parts of the neighborhood. Jackie, with all these homes looking so much alike, the same architectural style, yet they're all individualized, but it gives the street really a great look, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. A lot of individual character come out.
And I see here's another one of your neighbors up here.
This is Chris.
Chris, come on down. Good morning. I noticed that you're doing some construction in the back. This is Chris Glazer.
Yes.
I'm Harvey Keller. Welcome to Long Beach Treasures.
Nice to meet you.
What are you doing?
Well, we moved to Wilton Street about 5 years ago, and we were renting a house across the street. And our intention was not to stay there for a long time, but as a temporary thing. But it turned out that we loved the street so much and the people that we stayed here, and we were looking for a house to buy, but we just hated to move. So this house came for sale, and although it was a little bit smaller than what we were looking for, we went to the city and we did our research and found out that although it's a historical society or historical district, we could add an addition and all of that, keeping with the same plan of the original homes. So our first phase in this project was to build a new garage, an oversized garage in the back.
And I notice it's conforming to the same architectural style as the home.
Right. What we did is we had the architect mirror the front of the house so that it would carry that same design and architectural style back to that structure. Mm-hmm. And our next phase, and we're still working with the architect on this and with the historical district people, is to build the house out back and also to put a second story with a master suite on it. So we have to go back to the architect and get everything fine-tuned and go back and get approval from the city, but it's been preliminarily approved, so we're real happy about it.
Well, good. When it's finished, we'll come back and revisit you.
That sounds great.
Thanks for joining us.
Okay, thank you.
Nice neighbors.
Jackie, let's walk down and see your house now. You know, Jackie, there are good things and bad things about living in a historical district, but I think one of the good things is that because there are restrictions, the homes remain intact as they were. No one does anything out of the ordinary that's going to ruin the ambiance of the neighborhood.
That's right, because we all care, and it is nice to see individual feelings and thoughts in the homes, but yet, like you said, they still have pretty much the same feeling.
Jackie, this looks like you have one of the most charming homes on the street.
Well, I'm
anxious to see inside.
We're proud of it, and we're welcome you. I'm glad you're here.
Oh, what a charming house.
It's small. All of these homes are 2 bedrooms, but we treat it as 1 bedroom and a den.
This is your den over here?
Our den is here, and believe it or not, this is where we spend most of our time. We have our computer. We don't have room for a large computer, so we use and work out of a lap.
Are the ceilings original?
The ceilings my husband did.
Oh, they're beautiful.
He made this one, and the purpose was to cover the old cracked ceilings, and that's exactly what we did. He put up 3/4 inch plywood and then did the molding. And each one is a little different. The living room and dining room, as we'll see, is the same textured type that they had in those days, and ours were cracking and leaking, and so we had to...
Let's go out and check out the dining room.
As you can see, it's pretty compact. We have everything that we want right here. We can close the door and take a nice vacation or whatever and not have to worry so terribly much.
A lot of built-ins from the 20s, aren't there?
Exactly, and we were so thankful. This home was, we purchased it actually from the man that had it willed to him, and it was only lived in by the original owner in 1924 and on. And her daughter was blind, so you can imagine that there were things that just were not taken care of. We called it a proper-upper instead of a fixer-upper, but we've had fun fixing it up and changing.
And you've lived here how long?
22 years.
22 years.
So we did it in about 8 years, got it the way we wanted it, and then we sort of redid some things this past month just because it was getting time to look at things again.
Well, the kitchen's always an important place. Let's go check out the kitchen.
Then we'll come back if you'd like to and look at the bathroom.
Oh, we can pick that up before we go into the kitchen.
Yeah. The bathroom was fun. It was an old clawfoot tub, which we still have, the original tub, and it's was not on the feet, but was encased in cement that rolled onto the floor and came up here onto the wall, and it was just sat in a frame. So we got the feet down at an old junkyard down here on Anaheim a long time ago, and our Ottoman prints we are very proud of, and they seem to go in the decor. And then again, the bedroom was not meant to be anything but a bedroom because it just was too small to make into any kind of a sitting room or whatever. And then my husband built the extra
closet
space and my dressing table, which is very handy.
Oh, how nice.
Those are the things that you find yourself doing because you need the room and you need the space, and it just works out real well for me.
Were you the interior decorator also?
Well, my husband and I, yes.
You did a beautiful job.
Well, thank you. We enjoy doing things like that, and it's just kind of fun.
I love fixing up old homes.
I do too.
Mine was built in 1918, and it seems like every time I do one thing, I have to do 10 things to make the one thing look good.
Right. That's exactly right.
All right, we're going to the kitchen now?
Yes. And I love to cook, as you can tell by looking at me. I enjoy cooking, and we love our kitchen. It's sort of special to us.
Well, you have a tin ceiling.
Yes, my husband did that also. And of course, they originally, we used the dies from a catalog in 1886, I believe. And they design it for you, and then you just put it up yourself.
Now, I assume that the cupboards are original.
These cupboards are original. There was a broom closet there. This stove was, not this stove, a stove was sitting here facing that way. There was a breakfast nook there. Her hot water heater was around the corner on a stand. And we took the little breakfast table, and it's out back on our patio now. We've used it all these years. And then my husband made these to go along with the remaining ones that were alike because we needed more space. We kept the old egg drawer that has the slats for the cool air to come up through.
Oh.
We kept the ironing board that's built in, and that's real handy because you wouldn't have a place to store an ironing board.
As we were walking down the street, it looked like you have quite large backyards. Can we take a peek?
Please do. We love gardening as well as cooking and traveling.
Oh, what a nice backyard.
like I said, we love gardening and we love having friends over. We've had as many as 100 here in the backyard for a party, and we've had small groups and sit-down teas and all of that, so it's fun.
I see your husband over there. I'm going to call him over so we can see Steve, because I have to ask him a question. Hi, Steve. Welcome.
Thank you. Good. Nice to have you with us.
Is this your model train set? Is
Well,
this where
yeah,
you
it's
spend your idle hours?
a few of my idle hours. It's sort of a disease, but we enjoy it.
You and Jackie have done a great job in restoring, refixing, and doing all that you've done to your property. It's beautiful.
Well, thank you.
Anytime you want to come over and do my backyard or put a tin ceiling in for me, a wood ceiling, I'm available.
All right. I don't know whether you can stand my prices or not.
These are huge backyards.
They really are. It's one of the things that people don't realize when they drive down the street. And Jackie's probably told you that we enjoy entertaining, and we have had up to
100
people back here.
Oh, I can see well easily it would hold 100 people. It's just a delightful place for entertaining.
And I think we had that proper tea type of thing, and we had 68 sit-down. So we do have a lot of area that we can...
Is that your little potting house over there?
It's really storage more than anything else.
And holds some wonderful California wine that we enjoy sipping on now and then.
Ah.
So it's in the refrigerator in there. Now that I've told the secret, if it's missing, I'll know who took it. So we do enjoy plants and...
and it shows, too.
Yeah, well, thank you. And of course, we have a master of the house, our parrot, and he enjoys also. You might want to know that as John filmed some of the track, the house and the little shed over here, which are just the beginning of what he wants to do, were built by scratch from Steve. He does it rather than buying a kit. He builds it all by using.
I noticed, is this a fish pond?
Yeah, we have 3 koi currently down in there. The cover on there is hopefully to prevent problems from birds or other animals.
With the little fall there and the waterfall next to the garage, it gives it such a nice sound out here. You almost feel like you're someplace other than downtown or close to downtown Long Beach.
Right.
It is a retreat, and
we've always wanted a fireplace inside, but of course here we can't have it. And also we use our little Mexican potbelly stove, and in fact we sat out here last night and read magazines and papers and articles.
And tell me, did you open one of those bottles of wine?
I have to tell you that we did. We're only one. We're only -1.
Jackie, Steve, I want to thank you both for letting us come into your home, your beautiful backyard, and telling us about your historic district up here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being with us. We're delighted that you were able to.
Thanks, Jackie.
We thank you.
And don't go away, because we'll be right back with more Long Beach Treasures.
One of the things that I like most about the cable modem is that it's always on. I don't have to dial up, and compared to the dial-up, it's infinitely faster. Time is not a factor when you want to download something. The customer service with Charter has been very good. Every problem that I've ever had has been addressed quickly with no frustration.
Hello, welcome back. I'm Harvey Keller, and this is Long Beach Treasures. Now we're going to be visiting something very, very special. This is the Earl Burns Miller Japanese Garden right here on the campus of the California State University here at Long Beach. And joining me now is Allison Redfoot, who is the education coordinator. Allison, thank you so much for joining me today, and take me on a tour of your beautiful gardens.
My pleasure. Thank you for coming.
Now, this has been here for how long?
We've just finished celebrating our 20th anniversary, and we're moving on to our 21st year here in Long Beach.
You know, it's really hard to believe that this beautiful, serene location sits in the middle of the campus.
It really is a treasure for the campus and the community at large here in Long Beach. And we've been trying for some time now to get the word out to the local community so that people would be more aware that the garden is here. And I think we're being successful. We have a number of community events, as well as over 5,000 school children that come through on school tours every year.
Oh, great. I graduated from the university here, but I guess when I graduated, this wasn't here. Earl Burns Miller. Where does the name come from?
Well, Earl Burns Miller was a very successful businessman and here in Long Beach, and fortunately he was a philanthropist as well, as was his wife. You may be familiar with the Miller Children's Hospital.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's also the Miller Room in the public library, the downtown branch, and they were involved in other endeavors, including this garden. Lorraine Miller Collins dedicated this garden to her husband after he'd passed away.
What a great remembrance, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, I noticed the vegetation here. Would this be typical of a Japanese garden?
Well, because we're here in Southern California, of course it is a combination of some Japanese gardening principles from Japan and a mix with the local trees, plants, and some special needs of this public site. Mr. Ed Lovell is the designer, designed this garden for us. He was the master landscape architect for the entire campus as well.
Oh. I love this tree. It reminds me of the old weeping willows we used to have back in Colorado, but they look a little different.
Yeah, this is a Chinese weeping willow. We have 3 of them in the garden, and they're very popular. They make that nice cascade with their branches, and we have over 200 weddings and receptions here a year.
Wow.
And as well as other business functions, tea and tours, all different kinds of things. Whatever you're interested in, our special events coordinator is able to schedule that for you.
What a great place just to come, sit, relax, maybe read a book.
Absolutely.
I noticed the sign out there said no food, so we can't bring a sandwich.
Right. We have a lot of plants in here that need special care, and we found that the food brings in the ants and different things like that. But it is a wonderful place to, as you said, read a book, write a poem, meet with a friend, just relax, which is such a nice asset for the community, really.
How many gardeners does it take to maintain this?
Well, we're lucky because although we only have 1 full-time gardener, we have a number of local community volunteer gardeners that come in every week to help maintain the 1.3-acre garden here.
Aren't volunteers great?
They really are. I don't know what we would do without them with all of our endeavors, actually.
I think a lot of public places feel that way.
Yes.
Now, this is a very typical bridge, I assume, that you would find in the Orient, is it not?
It is, and it's known as a moon bridge or a drum bridge. Ours is much lower than some you may have seen, and that's because our garden is completely handicap accessible. We not only have the Veterans Hospital as well as the Isabel Patterson Children's Center right here, so strollers, wagons, and wheelchairs and all those things can get over, but also just the high volume of public access that we have here. Over 50,000 visitors come a year. It's really nice to have a little bit of a lower bridge so that everyone can get over easily.
Good thinking.
Yes.
Now, I noticed the waterfall here. This sure gives a pleasant little sound of the cascading water as we walk over the bridge.
It really does. It's so nice to be here to fulfill all your senses. And there's the beautiful plants and flowers, and there's also a lovely aroma with a number of our plants that bloom throughout the year, but also the sounds, the waterfalls, the birds.
I notice a lot of irises. Are they typical in a Japanese garden?
Yes, they do have a traditional sense in Japanese gardens. We're lucky to have caught them in bloom here because they just started a few weeks ago, and they'll go through the summer. We have both white and purple.
I see a little tea house. Can we just walk up and take a look at it?
Absolutely.
Do you, is this used for public events?
We do a number of different things in the tea house. Some of them orthodox, some of them a little bit more unusual. We do have the tea ceremonies occasionally, but also, for example, yesterday we had a special group in of school children doing a project, and they were able to go inside the tea house.
It doesn't look like it would hold very many.
It doesn't. It's just a 4.5 tatami mat room, and so they have to come in groups of 7 or 8.
And this would be a typical little tea room in the Orient?
Yes, it would. Of course, ours is adapted a little bit differently than in Japan, but we do have the luxury of having our own tea house here at the garden.
That's great. And I see we can go down these little steps here.
We can. A lot of the pathways, as I said, were completely handicap accessible here at the garden. Don't have this sort of unevenness to them because we want everyone to be able to access each route. So if you're unable to make your way down these stone steps, you can go back around that way. But since we're young and able, we'll go.
Right. Okay. Since you said young and able, it's just my luck I'll fall.
No.
Oh, this is beautiful. I'm really impressed, I must admit, and I'm sorry that I took so long to get over here.
Well, we're just so happy that you finally made it here. We hope other people will join you in your discovery.
Well, just to look around at the different textures, the different colors of greenery and burgundies and the flowers, it's spectacular.
And I think it strikes a lot of people that way, and once they find it, they don't let it go. They come back again and again, and we have a number of different opportunities to come to the garden, whether it's during our public hours, which are Tuesday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., or Sunday from 12 noon to 4 p.m., but we also have special events.
Now, if I would come up here during regular visiting hours, do you ever have docent-led tours?
We do. You can call ahead of time, and if you have about a group of about 10 people, call about 2 weeks before at the very latest, and we'll arrange a student docent here. We have, of course, a wonderful opportunity to have our university students work here at the garden. So
I want to go down here and look at the koi.
Okay.
They sure are colorful, aren't they?
They are. All of the koi in our pond here are either Japanese or German koi fish, and you might be able to tell the difference if we can get enough of them to come to the surface here. Our Japanese koi have a very regular sort of concentric scale pattern, like for example this gold one right here, you might see how it has little scales all over its body. Where the German koi have smooth sides, and it kind of looks like there's been a stamp mark down their spine. And we definitely have probably more Japanese koi than German koi, but if you look at this light orange one right here, you might be able to notice how its sides are actually smooth, and then it just has the markings down its spine there.
They must know you. When you talk about them, they seem to come to the surface.
They are very friendly, excellent pets. And just like here how we have dog shows, there are koi shows both in Japan as well as here in America.
Do you ever have to thin out the population?
Well, fortunately, the Zen Nippon Arankai Koi Club, the ZNA Koi Club, and this garden have a koi auction every November where we go through our fish population one by one, we drain the pond, and then we have an auction. And the public can come, and it's a live auction, and purchase fish, and that helps control the population in our pond.
And that's a good way to stock up your own private little koi pond.
It is.
They're beautiful.
Thank you. Everyone enjoys the koi fish. They provide both movement and color here in the garden.
The water lilies are beautiful, too.
Oh, they're so nice this time of the year.
How do they and the fish get along?
They get along fairly well, although sometimes our koi fish will get a little too interested in them and have them for a snack.
Are they vegetarian?
Well, they eat a special koi food that we have here, and it's available for the public for 25 cents for a handful, so that anybody can have a handful and have a good time feeding the fish. Would you like to feed the fish right
Well,
now?
I was going to, but I see that they're all here, so I probably wouldn't get any better view of the fish. But
Actually, it'd get them all moving around too much, huh?
let me try it. I have a quarter right here. Just throw it in?
Yes.
You guys. Oh. Wow.
We'll have to get you your quarter back.
No, that's fine. They're either hungry or they love the food. How often do you feed them?
These fish are basically always willing to eat. But the public feeds them throughout the day, and we keep track of how many people come in. And if on the rare occasion where we don't have that many visitors, we do feed them ourselves.
I don't know if we throw it out further, will they go?
They sure will. They'll follow wherever the food is. Quite a few people come to our garden to do film shoots. We have a wonderful film department here on campus, and they do some filming as well as other private entities, and they just can't believe our lovely collection of koi fish right here in Long Beach.
Well, let's continue on down here and see the rest. Oh, we have another waterfall here. I love waterfalls. I don't know why, but I just think the sound is so soothing.
It really does give us a nice background music, so to speak, to our garden.
Now, who owns this? The university, or is it the Miller Foundation?
It is absolutely part of the university.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Allison, this is a unique little device. What is it?
Well, it's a water hammer, and it slowly fills up with water.
Well, there
and
it
then,
goes.
as it's going now, did you hear that little bunk noise it makes when it goes down? Well, that's useful because when there are animals in your garden that you don't want eating up your nice little beds, it makes them run away. It's just enough of a noise to have them skirt away. And we do have a number of different animals in the garden in the evening, and so it isn't just totally decorative in our garden even.
That's great. I love that. Well, Allison, I want to thank you. This has been a delight for me, and I hope that everyone who hasn't been down to see the Earl Burns Miller Japanese Gardens at the University of California at Long Beach comes down and says hi to you and takes a tour of your facility, because I'm enchanted with it.
Thank you so much, and thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for letting us. Join us again next month as we take another walk through history and uncover more Long Beach treasures.